So we're here in my backyard getting ready to harvest some winter creeper. It is a relative of bittersweet, a vine-like plant that grows up trees, and it's actually invasive in some parts of the US. It was originally from Asia. So I was supposed to rip it down off the tree this summer, never got around to it. And now that I need some branches for a chandelier for over my dining table, I decided to give this a try. We're going to cut some down and make a wreath out of it today. Okay, so some of the materials we're going to use for this are aluminum electric fence wire, something I used previously. I just have it on hand when I put together some trellises. Just some thicker jute, not the super thin stuff, something that's a little bit more hardy to hold this thing up towards the ceiling. Needle nose pliers to twist the wire, wire snips to cut the wire, and some good old scissors. And then just some hand snips so we can trim down some of the things that we lopped off the tree. So I'm going to cut down some of these bigger pieces. You can see this isn't very flexible, so I wouldn't be able to bend that into the wreath very well, but we'll hang on to it in case we need to use any of these smaller pieces for filler. And then my plan is just to lay these out in a general circular shape. If I have two of these, they're of course not going to go like this. It'd be harder to wire, so overlapping a good probably foot or so. So it gives us a couple of points to twist that wire on and hold it. And I just want to get a good amount of this. Overlap, keep it filling in until it looks like it's fairly full. You can use 2 branches or more in the entire same spot. Like this guy's got to lose his rigid end here. All right, I'm going to get now some pieces of wire. And I'm just going to snip it, I don't know, into maybe 8-inch lengths or something. And then I'm just going to grab a piece of this together, pinch it, and then just come up, get the wire taut, twist it a couple of times to hold it. And we're just going to go around the wreath and secure this in several spots. Not going to snip and trim the wire yet because in case we need to add more branches somewhere, we want to be able to open it up pretty easily. So I had considered using glycerin to soak the stems because you can preserve greenery a little bit longer, except it's no longer greenery once you do that. It turns a brownish color. And I think I'd rather just have sticks than brown leaves on there, so I'm probably going to lose this foliage. It'll dry out and drop off in time, and we'll see, you know, if I get to keep the berries on there or not. But for a basically almost no cost chandelier, it's worth it to me to give it a try. So I might be vacuuming my dining area with a shop vac for a while, but that's fine with me. So we'll continue securing this in the circle. I will show you as soon as I get this done. Okay, so I just used the needs of the wreath really to guide where I put the fasteners. And I think, so you can see, it's about this big of a, well, it looks more like an oval, which is fine. Suit the dining area better. Okay, so now we are ready to use the jute to wrap over the wires. What we can do is sort of take the needle nose pliers, and just bend these long wire ends kind of back into themselves and tuck them down into the vines, because we're going to wrap this anyway, so they're not going to show. And with the needle nose pliers, if you grip it close enough, you can bend it down really flat. Okay, so now we are going to move on to wrapping the wire sections with jute or twine, whatever you want to call it. So, okay, so we're going to start with, I'm going to say about 3 or 4 feet of this, and just place it. You can tie one end, and then just put the tail where you're going to wrap over it, and just keep going around. Just wrap around several times, making the rope lay right next to itself. And remember, you can go tightly because there will be some shrinkage in the greenery as it dries out, so to keep it from being too loose. Let's go ahead and wrap it. And then I'm going to tie this off. Okay, and leave myself a little bit of length here. And again, just keep going, wrapping around. So all of those points that we put the wire on, we are now going to cover using the twine. If you can hear the chickens here, they came to help. Okay, so we're just tying off this last piece of twine to cover the wire. And that leaves us with 8 different possible connection points if we need them for the suspension twine. Okay, but here we are so far. We've got this oval-shaped wreath with different tie points and places that we can secure it up to the ceiling, which will come just after this. So here we are in my dark dining room. This is a location for my ceiling where we are going to hang that chandelier wreath now. Twine and the scissors. Out of this kit, which I absolutely love, by the way, I think I picked it up at Target years ago, we are just going to need the awl that we're going to do the starter hole in the ceiling. We have a small screw to connect, so we don't need to really drill a pilot hole. Measuring tape, which I'm going to use to estimate the distance that we need to hang this down from the ceiling. Pencil to mark the ceiling. This is my little open screw to go up, and then we're going to fix the ropes to this loop, so it's going to be an easy hang to take it up and down if we ever have to. And then these are the fairy lights that I got that have different modes, but most of all they can have a timer that I can set it to. We can dim it, we can turn it on and off really easily without having to touch anything. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we have to do is figure out what height we want this to come down from the ceiling. So Zinnia here is going to give us a hand. And I'm thinking probably about head height for me. Okay, so just need to go from the ceiling with this floppy thing to about the top of my head. We're gonna guesstimate, it's about there. So now we get to attach the ropes, and this is gonna be, I'm gonna go about 30 inches from the table. Is to, I have a feeling this is not gonna go well with the cat helping. I decided to try it to attach in 4 points to begin. So we need to have enough rope to come drop from that hook to the wreath and have some room to tie it. So I'm gonna go about here. And then we'll need 4 of these to get to all of the, the points. Okay, so we're gonna take this round metal ring, and you just have to make sure that it's big enough to get whatever ropes you're gonna be putting through it in. And I'm just gonna, these are in half, so just like I had cut them, going to stick those center pieces through. Maybe not as easily as I thought. Okay, and then I'm just going to loop them back through the hole, okay? So we're just gonna make like a little slip knot of sorts like that. And this part we will hang from the hook in the ceiling once we are all set. Okay, so don't worry if this is starting to flip out. Once we get that hung, it'll stay in place. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to divide these ropes into 4 groups of 2 each, and then we're going to attach those to the 4 different points on the wreath. Okay, so now to connect these to the wreath. We had measured from the ceiling down, so we know that the hook's gonna hang about here. So we can guess then, not guess, we can measure, that these are gonna have to be, I put that in the middle of the wreath just so we could get it estimated. Mark all of these ropes so we have an idea of where the tops of them should be. I'm just writing over them with a pencil for when we tie them on. Okay, so again, hold on to the top of your ring. Divide into 4 groups of 2 each. Okay, now we can tie. Okay, so here is our pencil mark, which means that on this attachment, we want that to be right about at the top. So I'm going to take these ropes, go underneath, give them a twist around each other, come back up, and tie them off. And we will just move our way around and do these each one at a time. Okay, so now we have the ropes connected. You can see we just are going to lift them up here. You might have to do a little bit of adjusting with your ring to get the ropes evenly taut. You can play with that a little, and you can always, untie them and readjust them that way if you need to as well. We're going to be able to tell once this is hung how much adjusting we actually have to do. So now on to figuring out where on the ceiling we're going to put that screw in. Okay, so we have an easy cheat because the center of my table lines up with the center of the window. So all we have to do is go straight up and across, and we know that that's going to be our first intersection point. If we take a peek over Mr. Reindeer's back, you can see that my table is actually a little bit wider than the area by the bookcase. So if we went straight up from the center of the table, we are going to be just to the left of that point that comes down at the top of the bookcase, which is going to put us, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, just inside of the 4th seam in the shiplap on the ceiling. So that will be our other cross-section point with the window. Okay, so here we are at the center of the window. It's going to be about right here. And we were going to be just inside the 4th seam. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That put us about it's easier if I'm in front of it, right here. And I will double check this when I make the mark. Okay, so after 2 extra tries at getting this centered, we found our spot, so it's right here. So this is the awl I was talking about. Super pointy little tool. It's really convenient. I have plaster walls, and I have found that starting things in the plaster walls works really well with this too. So just kind of twisting it in just to get it started. Now I've got my little screw, and I'm going to get this twisted up. So this shiplap ceiling project is one that has yet to be finished, but it served the purpose of rescuing my falling plaster ceiling earlier. That's something else we will cover in a different episode. If you're trying to twist this, and this is getting kind of hard for me, it helps if you have I'm just taking the awl, sticking it right through that thing, and then it's a lot easier. You get more torque to twist it right in. Okay, so we'll have to figure out which way that ring is facing to hang this, to make it hang balanced, but we'll get to that just in a second. So here we are with the wreath. Going to hang this right up here on the hook. See how close we came to getting that right. We're going to trim off these rope pieces, and then we can wrap the fairy lights. It's story time. So I was talking to my son earlier this week, and he said to me, Mom, why are you even doing this? You're not unique. Everybody does DIY. And I'm like, I like DIY. And then he said, and you're not funny. You might think you're funny, but you're not actually that funny. And I was like, I think I'm pretty funny. So then he said to me, what is it going to take for you to be successful on here? And I'm like, I don't know. And he said, it's going to take 1 million followers. Million. I was like, 1 million. I think I have like 48, like 1 million minus 48. That's a lot more followers I need. And then he said, how long do you think it's going to take you to get to 1 million followers? And I thought long and hard for like 3 seconds. And I said, I don't know, 6 months. At which point he was like laughing at me, not with me. He was laughing at me. And he said, try 2 to 3 years. Years. I was like, I don't have 2 to 3 years to make this work for me financially. So I'm asking you to help me out. Subscribe, share it with your friends, do whatever it takes so that in 6 months, I can tell that teenage boy, guess who's got 1 million followers? And then I'm going to be like, hey, PewDiePie, hold my LaCroix. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe, share, and tell your friends. Stay tuned. In our next episode, you'll learn how to go from this to this with the DIY bubbler fountain tutorial.